In the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, there are sounds older than the trees, older than the rivers, older, some say, than humanity itself. They call them the whistlers. Not birds, not people, not wind, but something else, something that listens, something that imitates, something that learns. And from the earliest settlers to modern hikers, those who hear the whistlers describe the same chilling truth. It wasn't human, but it was trying to be. Tonight, we travel deep into America's most mysterious mountain range, into the dark ridgelines, abandoned hollows, and endless forests where voices echo that should not exist. This is the story the locals don't want to tell. This is the legend the Park Service refuses to acknowledge. This is the sound that follows you long after you get home. This is the Whistlers. The Appalachian Mountains are among the oldest on Earth, their ridges rising before the continents even settled into their modern shapes, before humans spread across the world, before language existed, and according to folklore, something else was here first, something that never left. For centuries, this wilderness has been described as alive, not just with wildlife, but with a presence, an intelligence buried in the land itself. Old coal miners spoke of holler spirits. Cherokee tribes warned about beings that wear the voices of men but walk like shadows. And early settlers heard whistles in the dark that mimicked their own calls, matching tone and pitch with eerie perfection. Some believed they were spirits, others predators. But all agreed on one thing: if you hear a whistle in the Appalachian woods, you never whistle back. The earliest printed account comes from Carpenter's Ridge, North Carolina in 1904. A logging crew reported voices echoing in the treeline at dusk. The voices sounded exactly like crew members. Same accent, same phrases, except the men being imitated were sitting right beside the others. One worker later wrote, "It was my voice calling from the woods, but my mouth never opened." Another described hearing something large snapping branches, followed by a sound he couldn't describe, except it wasn't quite whistling and it wasn't quite breathing. Within weeks, 3 workers vanished. Their clothes were found, folded neatly on a tree stump. Their boots sat next to each other, laces tied. No tracks, no blood, no bodies. Just a final, chilling detail the sheriff noted in his log. When we searched the area, someone whistled at us from the trees. It was the missing men's voices. Over the decades, the reports grew. Hikers would walk a lonely trail and hear someone behind them. Not footsteps, not breathing. Just a slow whistle, always just far enough away to stay unseen, always close enough to be unmistakably intentional. Most described it as 3 descending notes, too perfect to be natural. But there's something more disturbing. The whistle doesn't repeat on its own. It repeats yours. A camper whistles to call a friend. 5 seconds later, the woods whistle back. Same rhythm, same tone, a perfect imitation, but wrong. Too smooth, too controlled. Like something is learning the sound in real time, practicing it, reflecting it back. Hikers report feeling watched, followed, shadowed by something that moves quietly, even in thick brush. One ranger described it like this: "It was as if the forest itself was whistling. The forest." For most people, the whistlers only mimic whistles, but in rare cases, they mimic words. Not full sentences, but fragments, broken attempts at human language. That's when things turn dangerous. Consider the case of Evelyn Grant, a backpacker who vanished near the Tennessee border in 1997. Her partner survived and gave this account. They were setting up camp when they heard someone calling Evelyn as name from the woods. The voice was wrong, too flat, emotionless. It said, "Evelyn, come here." Her partner swore Evelyn was next to him the whole time. The voice repeated, louder, clearer, more confident. "Evelyn, come. Here." Evelyn stepped toward it, almost in a trance. Her partner grabbed her arm. She whispered, "It sounds just like my mother." But her mother had died years earlier. Moments later, the voice changed. Same tone, but now unmistakably her partner's voice. "Help me." Except he was standing right beside her. He described the sound as like a recording of me, but emptier, as if it copied my voice but didn't understand the meaning. They ran. Only one made it out. Evelyn's body was never found. Today, Appalachian locals follow strict rules when the woods start to whistle. They are not superstition. They are survival. Rule 1, never whistle in the woods. It's seen as calling out, an invitation. Rule 2, if you hear a whistle that matches yours, leave. Do not investigate. Do not reply. The more it imitates you, the closer it is. Rule 3, whistlers never approach first. You approach them, drawn in by the sound, like a lure. Rule 4, if it speaks your name, run. This means it has learned you, your voice, your cadence, your identity. And Rule 5, if you see the source, it's already too late. Every missing person case connected to whistlers ends the same way. No remains, no tracks, just their voice, echoing in the trees. In 2012, 3 college students hiking near Black Fork, West Virginia, captured what experts still cannot explain. One of them whistled a 4-note tune. 7 seconds later, the same tune echoed back, but the echo came from the wrong direction. It was too loud and too perfect. They laughed until the whistling changed. It shifted tone and pitch. It became a voice, a broken voice whispering, "Where are you?" The audio ends abruptly. The camera falls. There's a sound like heavy breathing, branches snapping, then a long, perfect whistle. All 3 students were later found, alive but terrified, miles from the trail. They claimed they lost time and couldn't recall what happened. But one refused to talk. He only said, "It learned us." So what are they? Scientists dismiss them as misidentified animals, owls, coyotes, wind. But none of those can mimic pitch-perfect human voices. None can call your name. Some folklorists believe they are ancient spirit beings, tied to the land. Others think they're a predator using mimicry, like a deep-sea creature uses bioluminescence. Or maybe they are an unknown species, a relic from prehistoric Appalachia. But cryptid researchers offer a 4th, far more disturbing theory: the listener's theory. According to this, the whistlers are not whistling to communicate. They are whistling to listen. They mimic sounds to map their surroundings, to locate people, to study responses. Like bats using echolocation, but far more intelligent. One researcher claims they learn more about you from a single whistle than you learn about them in a lifetime. Imagine a creature that uses imitation the way predators use scent, something that builds a behavioral profile of you. If true, the whistlers aren't calling you, they're scanning you. Across Appalachia, hundreds of missing person cases share the same unusual details. Clothes folded neatly, boots placed side by side, no signs of struggle, and no tracks. Campsites are often undisturbed. The last thing heard? A whistle. Search dogs frequently refuse to track the scent. Rangers report a strange silence in areas before disappearances. No birds, no insects, no wind, just a void, and then the whistle. One ranger put it simply: when the forest goes quiet, the whistlers aren't far. In 2018, 2 photographers camping near Pine Mountain heard a baby crying in the woods past midnight. No houses for 10 miles. The crying continued, weak, rhythmic, repeating in the exact same pattern every 12 seconds. It wasn't natural. They approached cautiously. Then the crying stopped, and something else began. The sound shifted, becoming higher, smoother. The baby's cry morphed into a whistle, a perfect imitation of the woman's voice when she shouted earlier, "Hello, are you okay?" Something was repeating it, testing it, perfecting it. They fled. The next morning, they returned with officers. Their tent was untouched. But the tree line around their camp was lined with rocks, arranged into a perfect circle. And inside that circle, carved in the dirt, was a single word: here. Survivors who encountered whistlers describe a strange mental pull, a curiosity, an urge to step toward the sound. Some describe it as hypnotic, others as comforting, like hearing a familiar voice. One survivor said, "It sounded like my father, but my father died in 2009. Whistlers don't just mimic sound. They mimic memory, emotion, instinct. They use your own past against you, which leads to one final rule. If you hear someone you know calling from the forest, but they're not with you, it is not them." In 2021, something strange happened. Multiple hikers reported hearing the same whistle across hundreds of miles of Appalachian wilderness. 3 descending notes, 3 ascending notes. A long pause, then again. The same pattern, the same pitch, as if multiple entities were communicating across vast distances. The phenomenon lasted an entire week. Night after night, people heard whistles echoing from ridge to ridge, valleys responding, hollows answering back. A ranger described it like, "They were talking to each other, and we were in the middle of it." Ever tried to record a sound that just doesn't want to be captured? People who've attempted to record the Appalachian whistlers know this feeling all too well. Their efforts almost always end in failure. We're talking complete audio corruption, bursts of static that weren't there in person, and bizarre distortion that makes the recording unusable. Sometimes entire segments of the audio just vanish into thin air. Even stranger are the recordings that do capture something, often with weird background frequencies that defy explanation. Imagine playing back your recording, only to hear an extra whistle, one you're certain wasn't there when you hit record. That's unsettling enough. But it gets worse. Some recordings pick up a faint voice, a whisper that says things like, "Behind you," or "Stay," or a simple chilling command, "Come." These phantom words appear on the recording, unheard by the person who was actually there. In one truly terrifying case, a recorder was found abandoned in the woods. It had captured the owner's voice, screaming in terror, long after he had disappeared without a trace. It's as if the forest itself recorded his final moments, a ghostly echo left behind. What kind of phenomenon can do this? What could possibly manipulate audio recordings with such specific and horrifying results? The more we look into these electronic voice phenomena, the deeper the mystery becomes, and the more it seems like these whistlers aren't just a sound, but an intelligent, manipulative force. The stories of these eerie whistlers aren't new. They're woven into the very fabric of the Appalachian region, stretching back centuries. If we dig into the hidden history, we find that people have been talking about these entities for a very long time, just under different names. Ancient Cherokee legends speak of beings called the Tulkalu, which translates to the ones who watch. They also tell of the Unayasta, or the imitating spirits. Think about that. Spirits that imitate. It's a perfect description for something that mimics human whistles and voices. These legends weren't just campfire stories. They were warnings passed down through generations. When European settlers arrived, they encountered these same strange phenomena. Their journals contain references to what they called mocking men, echo walkers, and hollow voices. They described hearing familiar sounds and voices calling from deep within the woods, luring the unwary away from the safety of their paths. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and a new group of people started reporting these encounters: the coal miners of the 1910s. Working deep in the dark, isolated tunnels, they spoke of the whistlemen. These miners would hear whistling echoing from unexplored shafts, sounds that mimic their own signals, sometimes leading to confusion and dangerous situations. Across all these different cultures and time periods, from ancient legends to settler journals to miners' tales, one chilling detail remains consistent. They know your voice before you ever speak a word. This ability to mimic and even predict human speech is what makes the whistlers so terrifying. It suggests a level of intelligence, an awareness that goes beyond a simple animal or natural echo. How could a legend from centuries ago and a miner's account from the 1900s describe the same predatory vocal mimicry? It points to something ancient and patient, something that has been observing and learning from humans for a very, very long time. This isn't just a myth, it's a historical pattern of encounters with an unseen, unheard entity that uses our own voices against us. And as we'll see, the warnings from the past are just as urgent today. Among the many stories of encounters with the whistlers, some of the most compelling come from those who claim to have survived an encounter. One of the last known survivors was a man named Marcus Hale. Before he vanished completely in 2019, he left behind a desperate, cryptic message, a final warning for anyone who might venture into the Appalachian woods. His words are a survival guide for an encounter you never want to have. He said, "If you hear whistling in the Appalachian woods, don't whistle back, don't speak, don't run in a straight line, don't look for the source." Each of these rules seems designed to prevent the entity from locking onto you, from learning you. But his final instruction is the most terrifying of all. He concluded with, "And whatever you do, don't answer when it calls your name." This implies the whistler doesn't just mimic random sounds, it learns who you are. It will use the most familiar sound in the world, your own name, to lure you in. Shortly after leaving this message, Marcus Hale disappeared. His body was never found, but his story doesn't end there. Hikers in the same region where he went missing have continued to report strange occurrences. They hear a man's voice, faint and distant, calling from somewhere deep in the forest. A voice that sounds desperate, pleading. It calls out, over and over, "Come here, I need help." Many believe it's the voice of Marcus Hale, his last moments, or perhaps his very essence, captured and now used as bait by the thing that took him. The Appalachian Mountains are a land of secrets. They hold countless mysteries, unexplained lights in the sky, fleeting shadows at the edge of your vision, a disturbingly high number of disappearances, and tales of creatures that defy classification. But of all these strange phenomena, none is quite as unsettling as the sound that echoes through the trees long after the sun has set. It's a sound that seems to listen, to learn. It imitates us, studies our voices, and follows us from a distance we can never quite pinpoint. A sound that has no visible source and yet always feels impossibly close. So, if you ever find yourself walking through the Appalachian wilderness and the woods suddenly fall silent as if the entire forest is holding its breath, and then a single clear whistle breaks that silence, stop and ask yourself a question. Is that a person whistling a tune? Is it a bird singing its nightly song? Or is it something else? Something that just wants you to think it's a person or an animal. Because once the whistlers learn your voice, they say it's a sound they will never ever forget. Thanks for watching.